Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to no voyages. It is the DOUG here once again, and we are here for some football talk. Not only NFL, but NCAA, but we'll get to the NCAA stuff a little bit later. Of course, I am not alone. I have the myth, the legend, the leader and founder of TCW, Video Game Dad himself, aka Mr. Jones.
Hey, video game heads, what's going on? What's poppin'? I am actually excited because normally I'm not here on your picks. I am here.
Yes, woohoo! That's because the post office is terrible.
No, that's actually true.
Oh yeah, good point. Trust me, I still haven't got my new issue of Game Informer. Damn you, post office! Damn you to Hades! As a wise man would say. But of course, welcome, Mr. Jones. We're going to have some fun tonight because this is the first one you've been able to be in a while since, as most of you know, I usually do the picks on Wednesday. But thanks to the clusterfuck of the Ravens Steelers rescheduling, it's kind of fucked everything up. So that's why there's no game tonight. There's actually not an NFL game till Sunday. But before we get to that and all the other news around the NFL and college, let's go a recap of last week. In Week 12, the Texans destroyed the Lions on Thanksgiving, followed by Washington doing the same thing to the Cowboys. Washington is now tied first place with the Giants, but Washington's in the driver's seat right now, and I'll explain why later. Of course, yesterday the Steelers barely beat a third-string Ravens team on Wednesday afternoon. The Raiders got upsetted by the Falcons. Well, let me face it, the Falcons destroyed the Raiders. Bills beat the Chargers. Giants, and they were able to beat the Bengals. They did lose their quarterback, Daniel Jones, for the next few weeks due to an injury. So Colt McCoy, yes, Colt McCoy, he's still in the league, will be the quarterback. Colts lost to the Titans, which I know Mr. Jones is like, damn it. Vikings keep their playoff hopes alive over the Panthers. The Cardinals lost to the Patriots. Patriots keeping their hopes alive. Dolphins getting an easy win over the Jets because, well, it's the Jets at this point. Browns beat the Jaguars. The Saints defeated the Broncos, who didn't have a quarterback. The 49ers keep their playoff hopes alive by beating the Rams. Chiefs easily destroyed Tom Brady and the Bucks. Packers destroyed the Bears, so for Vibrator's sake, hashtag fuck Green Bay. And then on Monday, the Seahawks easily destroyed the Eagles. Granted, there is some kind of... I'd have to mention that game because somebody actually lost a lot of money in that game. So for the season, I am 10-6. Oh no, for the season, let me rewind now. For this past week, I went 10-6, and for the season, I'm 114-56-1. So, yay! I'm still having a winning season. But let's get to some things that need to be noted. First, Seahawks news. Josh Gordon, you know who he is, the guy who has smoked more weed than Cheech and Chong combined. And if you don't know who Cheech and Chong is, your parents have failed you. That's all I'm going to say on that, because everybody should know who Cheech and Chong is. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years, when Vibrator has kids. That's a joke, Vibrator, if you're watching this. That's a joke. He is being reinstated for the last 2 weeks of the NFL season. So most likely, Seattle will have the wide receiver they signed back finally, so he'll be there for the playoff push. So that's good for them in the sense of, hey, we'll have a wide receiver to help out a bit. Also, John Harbaugh of the Ravens does not know if Lamar Jackson is going to be playing against the Cowboys this coming Tuesday. So keep an eye on that if you have him on your fantasy team as well. Unfortunately for Dupree of the Steelers, a torn ACL was confirmed, so he's done for the year. So sucks for him. Now, what makes this now, getting to the Giants, Washington, Philly, and Dallas situation. 3 of those teams are now using a backup quarterback, Mr. Jones. The Cowboys are on Andy Dalton, who just came back a few weeks ago. Colt McCoy will be starting for the Giants this weekend, and Alex Smith is technically the third starting quarterback for Washington, as he is the third string quarterback. So the only team who still has the starting quarterback from week 1 is Philadelphia and Carson Wentz. So that is kind of interesting. Granted, everyone would say Carson Wentz is a terrible quarterback, and I'm going to defend Carson Wentz here. He is having a bad year. There's no doubt. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. But keep this in mind. Look at the Eagles' offensive line. It is terrible. They were littered with so many injuries at the start of the year that it's been hard for them. You know, they have so many injuries just like the other four teams, but their injuries are far worse on the offensive line to where he's been under pressure. He's had to throw the ball way too quickly instead of having time in the pocket. So, do I think Wentz should be benched? Because that was the one thing everybody thinks should happen now after they just lost. I wouldn't put the rookie quarterback in who they drafted. It'd be a waste of time at this point because A, you're still in a division you can win easily. And B, do you really think the backup quarterback's going to do any better with the way that offensive line is? I'm sorry. No. Let Wentz finish this out, you know, and see what happens next year at this point. You know, if you're ready to switch, fine. But you did sign Wentz to that big contract a few years ago. So this is kind of the old saying, reap what you sow here. And that's pretty much the way on that one. And by the way, like I said, Daniel Jones is out. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And we'll get to the picks later for that. Because now we're going to head to the standings of the NFL real quick. And these standings are brought to you by water. It's everywhere. Get used to it. As many of you know, it is a 7-thing playoff thing now. So you pretty much have to be at least in the top 7 in your division, or the league, I should call conference league, whatever you want to call it. So let's go to the AFC. Number 1 seed right now is Pittsburgh at 11-0. They're pretty much in control of their own destiny if they just keep winning. I'm going to say the magic number is going to be 15 wins. If they get to 15 wins, they'll have the number 1 seed and have that home field advantage throughout the AFC. Because remember, only the first seed gets that bye this year. Kansas City is the 2nd seed at 10-1, followed by the Tennessee Titans at 8-3. Buffalo is in the 4th seed at 8-3. Titans have the tiebreaker. And then Cleveland is the 5th seed right now at 8-3 as well. And then the 6th and 7th seed right now in control of their own destiny if they just win out. The Miami Dolphins at 7-4 and your Indianapolis Colts, Mr. Jones, at 7-4 as well. So the Colts are kind of on that team that's that life support that, you know, usually you'd be, if you're the 6th seed, oh, you're sweating bullets. But now with the 7th seed added, the 7th seed will be that team, you know, who's going to be sweating the most bullets. Baltimore, they got the same record, but Raiders have the tiebreaker. And surprisingly, believe it or not, New England can still steal a playoff spot as they're 5-6. Denver and Houston, they're 4-7. They can still kind of get in, but they're on life support right now. Chargers, Bengals, Jaguars, and Jets, yeah, they went bye because they're eliminated. In the NFC, the New Orleans Saints are the 1 seed, followed by Seattle at 2, Green Bay at 3, and then the 4-7 Giants at 4. It is sad knowing that whoever wins that division will get a home game. Ugh. 5th seed are the Rams. 6th seed are the Buccaneers. And by the way, Tampa Bay's got a week off this week, which I know Mr. Jones is like, come on, Tampa Bay. Keep falling. Keep losing. I want to see Brady fail. And then Arizona is the 7th seed at 6-5. Minnesota and Chicago are not out of it yet because they are 5-6, right behind Arizona. And San Francisco as well, so my buddy Dave is going to be happy as they're 5-6 as well. Detroit needs help getting in. Washington, Philadelphia, and the Eagles, the only reason they're still alive is because of the division they're in. Atlanta and Carolina could get in, but they need so much help it's not going to happen. So there is your playoff things for that. So now we're going to head over to college football, because I did say we would discuss this a bit. Of course, the top 4 teams were announced by the committee earlier this week. Nothing really changed. It's still Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State. But we're going to be talking about Ohio State real quick before we get to some of the big games this weekend. Mr. Jones, you're an Ohio State Buckeye fan, correct?
Correct.
As many of you know, Ohio State has 2 games left, and they still haven't qualified for the conference championship game. The Michigan State game this Saturday is going to be played. That has not been postponed, hasn't been canceled. So that's good news for Ohio State. But, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think on the game when I played against Washington, I'm going to mention it again. If Michigan next week cancels the game, that would screw Ohio State not only out of the conference championship, but most likely screw them out of the playoff because of the fact of they won't be able to play a full conference season, and they'd be, not be able to go. And I think Indiana would take their spot because Indiana's played more. They haven't had as many games postponed or canceled. So Iowa State's really got to hope Michigan can play next week. And Ohio State still has to beat Michigan State this Saturday, and then hope Michigan can play next week and they beat Michigan. Then they can go to the conference championship and play, most likely, I think it's going to be Northwestern. But if that doesn't happen, it's going to shake a whole lot of things up in the playoffs. So keep that in mind. So everyone's going to be keeping an eye on Ohio State this week and next week. And the committee's going to have to ask themselves, can Ohio State, who's, let's say hypothetically, only has this is the last game because Michigan cancels, they'd be 5-0. Is that good enough to make it to the playoff when you have teams who have had a longer season, or at least played more games, or won their conference championship? It will be interesting to see what happens. By the way, in today's games, Thursday, Louisiana Tech beat North Texans 42-31, and Air Force and Utah State are tied. Now tomorrow there's only one game for college football fans, Louisiana number 25 against Appalachian State. But let's get to Saturday, because we got a lot of good games on Saturday. Of course, ranked number 21 Marshall tries to continue their winning ways as they're 7-0 going up against Rice. My Fighting Irish play Syracuse on NBC at 2:30, so no one talk to me then. 12 o'clock, Ohio State plays Michigan State on ABC. Ohio State is favored, and I'm going to take Ohio State in that one. The other big games for this week, Texas A&M takes on Auburn. Auburn could play the Warriors spoiler here, because if Texas A&M loses, that will probably knock them out of any hope at the playoff spot. Where's the big one at? Because there's a few big ones that I want to mention real quick. Okay, this ain't a big one, but it does mean something for one of these teams. It will be Bowling Green taking on Akron University, and somebody's going to get the first win of the college season. Congratulations to them, whoever gets it. Indiana versus Wisconsin, which is at 3:30 on ABC. That has many implications, not only for Ohio State, but for the playoffs itself and the conference they're in. So keep an eye on that if you're a fan of that conference of Ohio State, because you're probably going to be looking at that one closely. Where's the big game? Because there was one game that was on the list that features... yes. At 5:30 p.m. Saturday on ESPNU, we have a battle of undefeateds, as it will be number 13, BYU, who originally this was supposed to be Liberty, but Liberty unfortunately had to back out due to circumstances. But BYU's been wanting to play another game because some of their games got canceled. So BYU stepped up and said, hey, Central Carolina, we will come play you on short notice. So this is not only a big game for Central Carolina because they're playing a legit score, a team who's won championships, won bowl games in the past. So Central Carolina could say, hey, if we win this, we beat a big name score that we weren't even prepared to face because we're facing them on a few days' notice. BYU could say, hey, we went up against this team that's also undefeated and we knocked them out. I think the winner of this will most likely should move into the top 10. Probably not going to happen though. BYU is favored, but that is a game I would definitely be watching. I have it marked on my calendar. I'm going to take BYU, who I just think BYU's a better... I will tip my hat to Central Carolina. What they've done is impressive, but BYU I think is just a better team on paper. And of course your night games for Saturday night. The big one will be Clemson taking on Virginia Tech. If Clemson loses that game, Miami can still still spot in the ACC championship. Oklahoma. Nah, I'm not going to count Oklahoma. Fuck that.
Oh, wow.
Ironically enough, we also get 2 Sunday games as well for college. So, for all you people who don't want to watch the Sunday night game in the NFL, who is the Sunday night game this week? It is Broncos and Chiefs. So if you don't want to watch that, you can put it on FS1 and watch Washington State take on USC. I would be taking USC in that one. I just think they're a better team. And yes, I know Alabama's playing. They got a night game on CBS. Fuck Alabama. Fuck the Roll Tide.
Get up, King Kings.
That's be the one thing me and Kenny Kings disagree about. So, let's get to the games this week. It's gonna be hard to discuss these because a lot of these have been switched. Remember, two of the games that we have now, two Monday games and a Tuesday game. So we're gonna save though. We're gonna go on order of the way they should be played, what they're going to be, what they would have been played on if nothing went crazy. Okay. So the first game we're gonna discuss, and if you know me, you know who I'm picking. It is my 3-8 Cowboys taking on my mom's 6-5 Ravens. Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm not going to have a good weekend because not only is this a rivalry game between me and my mom on Tuesday. My mom grew up in Baltimore when the Colts used to be there, so she's a diehard Ravens fan through and through. But Saturday, it's Notre Dame versus Syracuse, and why that's important is because that's the university my mom wanted to go to. So she's going to be cheering for Syracuse. So, Mr. Jones, you can imagine I'm not going to have a good Saturday depending what happens, and I may not have a good Tuesday next week depending what happens. So if you don't hear from me from Wednesday, it's probably because I died. Or the fact of I lost my voice, one or the other. But I'm taking the Cowboys here. My mom knew I was going to do that. My mom's taking Baltimore. Mr. Jones, who do you have?
Well, here's the thing: is Lamar playing?
As of right now, there's been no official report. If he's not, it will most likely be RG3 or the other quarterback playing.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm going Cowboys.
Going Cowboys, all right. I thought I'd be the lonely man on that one. By the way,
I'm saying that, but
hey, I can understand. Baltimore, by the way, is favored by 7.5 points right now, which is interesting. By the way, that game is on Tuesday night, 8:05 on Fox. So let's get to the Sunday games, most of the Sunday games, because there's one that's not a Sunday game anymore. It is the New Orleans Saints taking on Atlanta Falcons. Falcons coming off a big win this past week. Saints still without Drew Brees, but they've been winning without him. Again, they have not completed a touchdown pass these last 2 weeks, but they've been winning games because the quarterback knows how to run like Speedy Gonzalez. Atlanta needs this win bad. If Atlanta can somehow, some way, right the ship and go 9-7, depending on what happens, they could at least steal a playoff spot. Worst case, say, hey, we're presentable, and at least we're not the Jets. But I'm taking the Saints here, guys. Saints are just way too overpowered on offense and defense. Yes, I'll tip my hat to Atlanta for getting the big win over the Raiders, but it's still Atlanta. They have blown leads almost every game this year. I don't see the Saints choking, so I'm taking the Saints here.
I'm gonna have to go with the Saints on this one. As much as Atlanta had shocked the world last week. Wow, my hat goes off to them, but maybe they just gotten lucky. No one got a rabbit foot or anything like that, but lightning can't strike twice for the Falcons. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go Saints. Saints got more weapons.
Exactly, but AKA the Atlanta Falcons last week put a Vanilla Ice, a one-hit wonder. Which I will say this though, I know a few Atlanta Falcon fans. They were actually pissed they won because that actually hurts the draft pick status in the first round. This is when you see fans who want their teams to lose, excluding me. They should point out the Buccaneers and the Panthers have a bye this week, so if you have any of those players on your fantasy team, make sure you edit your fantasy teams, or else you will lose. Up next, it is the Browns taking on the Titans. By the way, before I forget, the Saints are favored by 3 points right now. Browns and Titans, both 8-3. This game has a lot of playoff implications because if the Browns do win this, and let's say we get to the end of the season, Browns and Titans are tied, well, Browns would jump ahead of them. So whoever wins this game pretty much keeps the playoff hopes in a good, decent level because you're probably not going to miss it at this point. But also controls a little bit more their destiny if they fall into a wild card situation, which most likely Cleveland's going to be stuck in because of Pittsburgh. Titans are favored by about 6 points, give or take. And this is a hard game because Titans have been playing so well this season, and they just demolished the freaking Colts, and I mean demolished it. It looked like a horror film out there. Well, Cleveland, and I've been impressed with Cleveland this year, I'm going to admit that, but they haven't played the best the last few weeks. Yes, they've won, but you can tell they're really missing Odell Beckham Jr. here. And I should point this out. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, I said I had 2 upset picks this week. Well, this is one of the upset picks. I am taking on the road the Cleveland Browns to beat Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to be a little bit on cloud 9 after getting that big win they needed against Indianapolis. Cleveland wants to fight so they can hold on to that wild card spot and maybe catch Pittsburgh if Pittsburgh somehow falters the rest of the way. But I'm taking Cleveland on the road. Go Browns, go. And I don't mean UPS.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with. See, I would go Browns because last time I said I went with Cleveland Browns. They got the mud shit stomped out of them.
I remember that game.
And here's the thing: both of these teams actually won over my Colts. So I have to say, with an impressive win over the Colts, I'm gonna have to go Tennessee.
Tennessee, alright. Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, the next game, which I should point out, the next game is a Monday afternoon game, as it is the Washington football team, aka Washington Redskins, aka Washington the horse with no name. La 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 la. Taking on the undefeated, the reigning, defending, Paul Heyman hype machine Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is an interesting game because Pittsburgh is favored by 8 points. But we just saw Pittsburgh barely beat a third-string team in Baltimore, winning 19-14. Yes, I know the old saying, and if you look at the whole schedule for Pittsburgh, they have not really played a lot of winnable teams this year. Washington is in control of their own destiny because of the fact of, hey, you're in first place in the division. If Giants lose this weekend and you win, you control your own destiny at 5-7. You got Alex Smith, who I think is the comeback player of the year. I think he should win that award just because he hasn't. 2 years ago, he was out of the league because of a leg injury, and then he comes back and could lead Washington to a playoff spot. And let's not forget, this is a very short week for Pittsburgh. Yes, they didn't have to travel, but Pittsburgh, remember, played Wednesday. So I don't know if they had enough time to prepare, mentally prepare, practice, prepare for Washington. Yes, I know Washington's a bad team. Yes, I know Pittsburgh's got way more weapons. But, and this is something I said earlier, there would be 2 upsets. I am taking in my second upset pick of the week. I am taking Washington on the road to beat Pittsburgh and give Pittsburgh their first loss of the season.
What?
I just think personally, Pittsburgh, the short week's going to hurt them.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm sure everyone's like, Doug, have you lost your fucking mind?
Wait a minute. Wait. You said Washington, formerly known as the Redskins.
I am taking Washington to beat Pittsburgh as my second upset pick. And I don't know who's going to be pissed at me more, my female friend Ann or Andrew, because I'm sure when they watch this, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you drinking? Which I'm not drinking anything right now. And I'm sure all my other friends who are fans of Washington, they're like, wait, Doug actually thinks we have a chance?
I don't know whether to jump in the boat with you on this one or
shoot the boat and let me drown.
You know what? I'll jump in the boat with you. It makes sense. But my question is, will this Washington team be consistent on the certain plays that they the big plays that they've done.
Yeah, because Washington's going to have to. Because here's the thing, Washington's defense has improved a lot since the start of this year. The defense has actually improved to where you can actually say, hey, this defense is legit. If Washington loses this game, it's most likely going to be because of the offense. Now, yes, they just destroyed Dallas, but let's remember, Dallas is just as bad as Philly and Jacksonville right now. But Washington has that. Washington has that mentality. I've noticed that at this point they have nothing to lose. You're on a third string quarterback. You got a decent 1-2 running back combination, and no one's expecting you to even get points in this game. So even if you lose, no one's really going to be surprised. But even if you keep it competitive, in which I think they can, and Pittsburgh, like I said, has not looked well in these last few wins, I think Washington could do the shocker.
Now, okay, I know there's more games that you have to do, but what is the gameplay for Washington to stop Pittsburgh, to stop Ben? Because this isn't Ben of the Super Bowl that we know, but he's playing like he wants to win the Super Bowl. What could be Washington's big key in defense? Because we all know that Pittsburgh got the weapons. They got the weapons in their defense. They got weapons in their offense. But there has to be some type of loophole.
I agree there. Looks like we've got a few comments. Dave said Giants ain't beating the Seahawks. We'll get to that game. Looks like the DFS King, he doesn't like our setup, which I'm sorry, I don't have a camera for this. I've always used the Madden one for years, so that's always what I've done. And so there's that.
Well, I'll tell you this. I have a camera if you want to see my pretty face.
Yes, DS King. I already said that earlier, that the game is on Tuesday. But remember, Madden doesn't update that. Oy. And yes, Steelers played yesterday. And no, the game was not canceled. It was postponed. And I'm just going to say this. There's a difference between postponed and canceled. Canceled means the game doesn't get played at all. Kind of like, think Michigan versus Maryland. That game is canceled this week. This game, Washington versus Steelers, was postponed till Monday evening. I wish people would get the difference. Makes me think people listen to too much of Pat McAfee on occasions. So there's that. So moving on to the next game, by the way, again, this is Monday evening, 5 o'clock. Then that game is on Fox. Up next, okay, we're not spending too much time on this game just because, yeah, there is no chance in hell this game can be exciting. It's the Raiders at the Jets. You know, yes, the Raiders did lay a goose egg. The Raiders are favored by about 9 points at the moment, give or take. Jets, I said this almost... How many weeks have I said this now for the Jets? The last, 4 or 5 weeks, Mr. Jones? That the Jets are tanking on purpose. The Jets do not, I repeat, the Jets do not want to win a game at all. Raiders would probably be the safest bet you can make this week. But be warned, this is the definition of a trap game because almost everyone's going to presume the Raiders are going to win. But the Raiders did choke against Atlanta last week. So for the love of God, be careful here, because if this is your suicide pool pick, you could get screwed. So, but I'm taking the Raiders, though. What about you, Mr. Jones?
Let's see. It's Raiders in... Got already. Yeah, Raiders going to have to bounce back from this.
Apparently, DFS King, he doesn't like the fact I don't use a camera, apparently.
Hey,
I'm sorry, I don't usually watch people who have a camera. Sorry, that's just me too. Well, apparently a lot of people like to attack me tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what. Next time we do the picks, we can use my camera. You can see my pretty face. You can see my beautiful family and my setup. Pretty much, if you wanna see my face.
So moving on to the next game. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm not buying a camera. I'm sorry. Why would I want to buy a camera and hook it up to my laptop? I don't do that for any that, because I think to the new guys who are watching, remember this is also a Let's Play channel as well. That's why I don't use a camera. I've never used a camera, except I think once years ago. But I didn't like how that setup was. I prefer this setup because it's easier. That's just my opinion. Okay, okay, so that makes me different then. How about that? Not everyone needs a camera. Jeez. Anyway. This is the next game, Jaguars versus Vikings. Vikings need this for the, pretty much continue the playoff hopes alive right now, because they can still get in, but they kind of need some help to do it. Jacksonville, another team that, let's be honest, since the first win of the, which I think was week 1, they have not done anything of note or usefulness. To the point to where it's like, yeah, who cares about Jacksonville? This is my lock of the week. I'm taking the Vikings. Yes, I've said many moons ago that I still don't trust Kirk Cousins. Really didn't trust him when he didn't play for Minnesota. Still don't trust him now. But again, benefit of playing a really bad team who's been bad for the majority of their excluding that 1 year when they almost made it to the Super Bowl a few years ago. They've pretty much been bad every other year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Vikings on this one. I used to be a big Jaguar fan, but they lost my love.
I just like the fact, see, this is why I'm going to just, before we get to the next game, I like the fact that everyone's just saying we need to get a better setup or anything and all that. But here's the thing. Some of you, I think, you're just wanting to say it because of the fact of we're not trolling / we're not acting like everybody else. We're doing things differently. This is kind of like the people who hate AEW just because it's different. And it's not the WWE millions of years, the same old shit.
They just want to push your buttons.
Yeah, I know. These are people who are probably like, oh, we should only watch people who spend millions of money on cameras and stuff just to do it like that, and just instead of actually being supportive. Oy, this is what's wrong with the picks community.
But here's the thing: it's like we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, even if you leave a dislike, because it means you're watching. Up next, and this game's actually kind of an interesting matchup. It is the Bengals and Dolphins. I think to me, that a dark horse team. KRP, they don't have Joe, but we know the Bengals are going to be. Say this, I like to point out, PSN cameras are not cheap. By the way. Mr. Jones, how much is a PSN camera right now for PlayStation?
Oh jeez, I totally forgot.
Yeah, I've never seen a PSN camera go for $20, so.
And here's the thing about that is that I got mine from a sale because it was refurbished, and it's the one that uses for the play with the minion thing. So I mean, I know you're probably still getting attacked.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Another thing.
It's like this: if you like the content that Doug is putting out, here's an idea. Help us get a camera. Let's keep it 100. If you don't like it, let's help get a camera for Doug, for us, so we can keep putting out the type of content that you like. If so, then please, you can hit me up on Facebook, or you can hit Doug up here on the channel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pretty much, if that's what you want to do, we have no problem. We will take donations.
See, this is why I like the Let's Play community, because they never attack anyone. They always just say, hey, keep up the good work. Oy. Anyway, though, I'm taking the Dolphins here. Bengals are going to be rebuilding anyway. We knew that from earlier this year. So, again, easy pick this week. Dolphins should get an easy W.
Well, you know what? Dolphins was pretty good this early season, and I have not been keeping an eye on them. Who they're going up against again?
WKOP Cincinnati.
Oh, hell yeah, Dolphins.
Should point out in case everybody wants to know the point spread respectively. Vikings are favored by 10 points. Dolphins are favored by 11.5. Moving on, and this is a game that I'm sure a lot of people are going to say I'm nuts on besides the 2 upset picks I already got this week. Bears and Lions. Here's the thing. Both these teams need a win to keep any hope of alive because Bears can still sneak in, Lions can still sneak in as the 7th seed, but they both need help to do it. Here's the problem. Lions just fired their head coach and GM on Thanksgiving, which was definitely much needed. I should have probably been done after last year, but whatever. Better late than never, as the old saying goes. Chicago, they have a quarterback problem. It seems like maybe it might just be an offensive problem in general, because the defense, I've said, I love the Bears' defense. I actually enjoy watching their defense play. I think it's one of the better NFL defenses. The problem is, when your offense is so terrible that your defense is on the field so much, it's eventually going to wear you down to where your defense is going to end up imploding and you end up losing. And that's what's been happening the last few weeks. After the Bears had that great run, undefeated run, they've decided to take a bigger nosedive and pretty much have been more terrible than watching a Bill Goldberg match. But here's the thing. Detroit is going to have the interim head coach this week. Matthew Stafford, who I do think is a decent quarterback. The problem is he's never... How can I say this with Stafford? He's got good numbers, but unfortunately, kind of like with the Philip Rivers situation, he's only had really maybe 1 or 2 key pieces on offense to help him, and then but that's been Detroit's problem since the get-go. They've had Barry Sanders, and they fucked that up. I'm going to take Chicago here. I'm not confident with the pick, but I think the Bears' defense would just be good enough to where whatever issues the Bears' offensive has doesn't screw them over. Now, I'm going to say this. If the Bears lose this game, it's going to be because the offense is just that bad. I've been saying it for weeks. Bears' offense is terrible. I personally, I'm kind of glad I skipped fantasy football this year just because I had other stuff on my plate. But yeah, taking the Bears here, but it's probably one of these picks that most likely my pick for this whole week that I'm not the most confident in. But I'm going to go with the Bears barely. Mr. Jones, what about you?
Hearing you talk about the Bears in what I've seen with the Bears, it's a wild card for them. And they've been a wild card for the last 3 years, and I'm gonna be 100 with that.
First off, I have not simulated any games on Madden, and for the one who says, let's see, have one. I've only had one losing week in picks this year. Thank you. So I've been pretty much, excluding the one bad week I had a few weeks ago, I've pretty much had winning weeks every week of this season so far. So hit the controller one button, get back to week 13. So yeah, I have got the Bears winning that. And what was your pick again?
Well, I was gonna say, like, with the Lions, I feel like this is gonna be their biggest win because you're going up against a wild card.
Fair enough. We're going to go to the next game, which is a game that's important for you, as it's your Colts taking on the Texans. Texans somehow still alive in the playoff race, which is amazing to me. Do you actually put... No, I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer. If you bet on games, I hope you lose money, to be honest, because to me, it's silly to bet on a game that you can't control at all. If you need the best example, look at the Seahawks-Eagles game. Somebody lost a bunch of money because the Eagles magically got a touchdown near the end of the game, even though they still lost. So there's that. Here's the thing. I'm taking the Colts here. While I am impressed that the Texans have been able to rebound and at least look like, hey, they got stuff to build to the future, I think the Colts just bounce back and get a much-needed win to hold on to their playoff spot in the wild card situation. First of all, I'm not a kid. I'm 30 years old, thank you. Mr. Jones, your pick.
Going with my Colts. Gotta go with it.
Kind of figured that. Moving on, and these are the late games on Sunday. Seahawks at home against the Giants. I've already mentioned at the start of the video that the Giants will be using Colt McCoy as the starting quarterback's out for a few weeks. You know, Giants, let's be honest, they beat a bad Cincy team, but they kind of looked okay, but I'm taking Seattle here. So, yeah. Seahawks should win this easily.
Oh, yeah, Seahawks.
So moving on, I'm going to be honest here. I used Madden even back when I was in elementary, middle, and high school, and even in college. So, moving on, and this is my game of the week for this weekend, guys. It is the Rams at Cardinals. Both teams need to win to keep any hope of to keep the playoff hopes alive. Both teams are going to be rebounding from a loss this week. You know, I think Rams have more experience. I am going to take the Cardinals at home to win.
You know what? I might have to go Rams. Rams has shown if one thing Rams has shown me that they got a lot of heart in their last few games. But also what they have shown me is that when they're losing, they start getting lazy, and that's kind of scary. And it's a hard pick for me to say Rams can win, but you know what? No, I take it back. I go Cardinals because Cardinals don't stop playing until the clock shows 000.
Let's remember that game against Buffalo a few weeks ago.
Oh no, the game that sticks out for me for Cardinals is when they went up against the Seahawks.
Yeah, but here, okay, and yeah, I agree. Before we get to the next game, okay, here's the thing, Dark Knight is here, and I don't think you're the Dark Knight that I know. I've been using the Madden to make my picks since I was in middle school before even YouTube and MySpace and Facebook was a thing, okay? Because I'd always do the announcements and I would always discuss the games for the weekend and the big games for Monday. So that's what I've been doing. I've been using Madden since even the PS1 era. So, and
Doug, here's the thing. You're entertaining this person.
I know I'm entertaining the troll, but it just
you're entertaining it. But here's the thing: you have to ask anybody who comes on here and does this. Do you love Fortnite?
Oh hell no!
That's the biggest question. No, not you. I'm talking about anybody that comes on. Do they like do they like Fortnite? Do you like Fortnite or do you like Call of Duty?
Well, I'm honest. I'm not a fan of either, but I get
to even fathom of what you do in there. Yes, they probably not. But here's the thing: they click on the page, so they want attention. Let's give them attention. Who do you think is going to go to the Super Bowl? Answer that before the troll.
Okay, here's the thing on the lagging part. Almost every stream has had lag issues the last few months. Where have you been? I'm not seeing a single stream that hasn't had lag. Right, Mr. Jones?
Lag has been everywhere since this whole coronavirus thing.
And
so everybody's been home.
Yeah. So moving on to the next game, like I said, Cardinals, Eagles and Packers. I got Green Bay here, guys. Again, like I said earlier, Eagles too many injuries. The Carson Wentz issues, which are not completely his fault. Packers are at home. Packers just got a better team all the way around. Green Bay should win. Sure you were, Sexy, and I'm the king of England. Because I pulled up many streams today, and guess what? All of them were lagging. So yeah, I don't buy it. Next Saturday game, Sunday game,
I know who it is.
Who?
I know who it is. You know those bots that do like those pornographic things that add. That's what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now it's probably those bots who leave comments that be like, "Oh, go to here for porn." Pats and Chargers. I think Patriots are probably going to win this one. Chargers, again, young team, rebuilding. Plus, Bill Belichick's trying to prove he doesn't need Tom Brady to go to the playoffs.
As long as Tom Brady don't go to the playoffs, I'm okay. I don't care about anything else.
Fair enough. Sunday night game. It is the Chiefs at home against the Broncos. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, that's right. The Broncos don't have a. Yeah, I'm going Chiefs.
Same. Lastly, the Monday night game. Remember, this game is being played in Arizona too. I'm taking the Bills. So I've been on the Bills defense pretty much since week 1, saying they were one of the best teams in the AFC, and almost everyone ignored me from week 1. Now, finally, after a few weeks, some people are actually saying, "Hey, Doug, you were right about the Bills being one of the better AFC teams." It only took people this long to realize it. So yeah, I'm taking the Bills. I just think better offense, better defense, and like I've said many a times, defense will always win you a championship in my eyes. You just got to hope your offense can at least be Jim McMahon-like from Chicago back in the day, and hope they just do enough to not cost you the game.
California.
So those are my picks this week, guys. Wow, 6 dislikes. So those 6 people must expect everything to be 100%. Everybody have great audio, great video, and everything, and all that. Man, I wonder what these people would have did back when there was no internet. Probably lose their minds. Anyway, I might try to do a stream of Little Hope later tonight. Till then, see you all next time.